Okay, so we are going to also just go ahead and upload another video for you guys to look at and just a task for you guys to do with it really quick. And so what we're going to be talking about today is, or in this video, if you can tell from my wardrobe, this is the same day as the other ones, but what we're going to be talking about in this video is conversations. So I'm sure if you guys are anything like me, you guys have had an awkward conversation or two in your time. And sometimes you go to an event or you go to just something where you see people that you don't know very well and you have a really awkward conversation just because you don't really know what to talk about with them because they might not be your best friend or they might not be somebody that you see all the time. So virtually raise your hand if that's happened to you. And you're like, I don't know how to respond. So we're going to talk about the art of conversation today, and I'm going to introduce you to something that I like to call the conversation matrix, and how to kind of give yourselves a visual in your mind that you can picture when you're having a conversation with somebody to help you really facilitate motion by motion how to have that conversation. So we're going to go through this today, so I need all of you to actually do this with me, but I'm going to have you stand up out of whatever you're sitting on and set your viewing device down where you can see it. And see me, and we're gonna follow along step by step, and we're gonna get some exercise in for those of you who have been on the couch since the quarantine began. So up we go. Okay, so we are going to learn the conversation matrix today. And sorry, I'm gonna adjust this really quick. This is, again, a tool that I want you guys, we're going to go through the motions and we're going to go through the words and we're going to say them and do them together. And then you're going to have this kind of to visualize. So this is something, again, we're going to do this Dora the Explorer style or Blue's Clues. I should have a green sweater on right now. Where I'm going to do something and say something, and then I want you to be up and doing it and saying it too. So the first thing that we're going to do, I'm going to do each phrase, and then I'm going to allow you guys to repeat it back to me, and then we'll add the next one, and we'll go back and we'll add it all together as we go. So the first one that we're going to do together, so I'm going to do motions and say the words, and then you're going to repeat it back to me, is in front of you, there is a welcome mat. So everybody take time to do that. In front of you, there is a welcome mat. All right, behind the welcome mat, so you can step on your mats. So in front of you, there is a welcome mat. Behind the welcome mat is a pink house with purple shutters. So go ahead and do that together. Let's all repeat it back. In front of you is a welcome mat. Behind the welcome mat is a pink house with purple shutters. On top of the house is a happy family, and the dad is wearing a tie. So let's all do that part together. On top of the house is a happy family, and the dad is wearing a tie. So back it up, okay? We're going to do all four of those steps together. In front of you is a welcome mat. Behind the welcome mat is a pink house with purple shutters. On top of the house is a happy family, and the dad is wearing a tie. And we'll talk about what all this means here in a little bit. On the peak of the house is a yellow airplane. All of you guys do that. I know it feels so funky, but do it. So on the peak of the house is a yellow airplane. On one wing of the plane is a tennis racket. Make sure you don't knock over a lamp when you do that. Okay, we're going to back it up and we're all going to do this together. So in front of you is a welcome mat. Behind the welcome mat is a pink house with purple shutters. On the roof of the house is a happy family, and the dad is wearing a tie. On the peak of the house is a yellow airplane, and on one wing of the airplane is a tennis racket. On the other wing is a bright flashing light. So go ahead and do that. On the other wing is a bright flashing light. All right, are we ready for the big one? We're gonna do that whole thing all the way through. So, in front of you is a welcome mat. Behind the welcome mat is a pink house with purple shutters. On the roof of the house is a happy family, and the dad is wearing a tie. On the peak of the house is a yellow airplane. On one wing of the airplane is a tennis racket. On the other wing of the airplane is a bright flashing light. So, some of you are trying to figure out what Miss Wallet has been eating while I'm at home and what funky ingredients are in it because I just looked clinically insane. But we are going to talk about what each of those steps means. So, when we're leading a conversation with somebody, and this would have been like a full day lesson that we would have done in class, so I want you guys to imagine that, is when we walk up to them, a lot of times we're like, hi, and they're like, hey, and they're like, I'm Erin, and they're like, cool, and then you just like awkwardly walk away from each other. So what we can use this matrix for, this image that we just created in our head, is to kind of, if we can remember those steps and those stages that we just did, to remember a way that we can keep the conversation going. So if we walk back through those steps, the welcome mat, so in front of us is a welcome mat, right? So that's our greeting. That's, hey, I'm Miss Wallet, I'm Erin. What's going on? What's your name, right? And then they say their name, and you're like, oh, cool. It's nice to meet you, or it's good to see you. And then you're like, cool, okay, gonna leave now. The next thing, especially if you're with somebody who is not also from Cardington, right, is behind our welcome mat was a pink house with purple shutters. So that pink house with purple shutters kind of represents where they're from, obviously kind of their home situation. Now, some of these things you have to be kind of sensitive about when you're meeting somebody. So you're not like, hey, what's your house look like? And they're like, oh, it burnt down last week. And you're like, cool. So some of this, but hey, we're at this conference, we're at state convention, right? I want you to picture that maybe. I'm Miss Wallet. Hey, I'm so-and-so. Hey, where are you from? Right? And they say some town. And then you can kind of talk about that for a while, right? Like, wow, how big is your school? Like, is it a big town? Is it a small town? Oh my gosh, I come from a town with one stoplight too. Do you guys also have a vegetable stand on the corner, right? Do you guys also have this festival? And you guys can talk about kind of where you're from for a while. And that's just the first step. So you can kind of keep going through that until that topic really kind of exacerbates itself. At that point, we move on to the next step. So we've been on the welcome mat. We've been to the pink house with purple shutters. And on top of the house is a happy family, right? So maybe we've finished talking about where we're from, and we finished talking about our hometowns, and now we're at that awkward stage where we're all like, okay. And you can say, do you have any brothers or sisters? Or, what do your parents do? Or something like that. Again, this you have to be really sensitive about because you don't want to ask a question